In the chamber at the sitting of January 22, Emile, the Prime Minister, declared, amid the frantic applause of his complacent majority, that he had confidence in the 12 citizens to whose hands he entrusted the defense of the army. It was of you, gentlemen, that he spoke. And just as General Billet dictated its decision to the court-martial entrusted with the acquittal of Major Esterhazy, by appealing from the tribune for respect for the chose juge, so likewise Emile wished to give you the order to condemn me out of respect for the army which he accuses me of having insulted. I denounce to the conscience of honest men this pressure brought to bear by the constituted authorities upon the justice of the country. These are abominable political maneuvers, which dishonor a free nation. We shall see, gentlemen, whether you will obey. But it is not true that I am here in your presence by the will of Emile. He yielded to the necessity of prosecuting me only in great trouble, in terror of the new step which the advancing truth was about to take. This everybody knew. If I am before you, it is because I wished it. I alone decided that this obscure, this abominable affair, should be brought before your jurisdiction, and it is I alone of my free will who chose you, the loftiest, the most direct emanation of French justice, in order that France might at last know all, and give her opinion. My act had no other object, and my person is of no account. I have sacrificed it, in order to place in your hands not only the honor of the army, but the imperiled honor of the nation. It appears that I was cherishing a dream in wishing to offer you all the proofs, considering you to be the sole worthy, the sole competent judge. They have begun by depriving you with the left hand of what they seemed to give you with the right. They pretended, indeed, to accept your jurisdiction, but if they had confidence in you to avenge the members of the court-martial, there were still other officers who remained superior even to your jurisdiction. Let who can, understand. It is absurdity doubled with hypocrisy, and it is abundantly clear that they dreaded your good sense, that they dared not run the risk of letting us tell all and of letting you judge the whole matter. They pretend that they wished to limit the scandal. What do you think of this scandal? Of my act, which consisted in bringing the matter before you, in wishing the people, incarnate in you, to be the judge. They pretend also that they could not accept a revision in disguise, thus confessing that in reality they have but one dread, that of your sovereign control. The law has in you its entire representation, and it is this law of the people elect that I have wished for, this law which, as a good citizen, I hold in profound respect, and not the suspicious procedure whereby they hope to make you a derision. I am thus excused, gentlemen, for having brought you here from your private affairs without being able to inundate you with the full flood of light of which I dreamed. The light, the whole light. This was my soul, my passionate desire. And this trial has just proved it. We have had to fight, step by step, against an extraordinarily obstinate desire for darkness. A battle has been necessary to obtain every atom of truth. Everything has been refused us. Our witnesses have been terrorized in the hope of preventing us from proving our point. And it is on your behalf alone that we have fought, that this proof might be put before you in its entirety, so that you might give your opinion without remorse in your consciences. I am certain, therefore, that you will give us credit for our efforts, and that, moreover, sufficient light has been thrown upon the affair. You have heard the witnesses. You are about to hear my counsel, who will tell you the true story, the story that maddens everybody and which no one knows. I am, therefore, at my ease. You have the truth at last, and it will do its work. Emile thought to dictate your decision by entrusting to you the honor of the army. And it is in the name of the honor of the army that I too appeal to your justice. I give Emile the most direct contradiction. Never have J insulted the army. I spoke, on the contrary, of my sympathy, my respect for the nation in arms, for we are dear soldiers of France, who would rise at the first menace to defend the soil of France. And it is just as false that I attacked the chiefs, the generals who would lead them to victory. If certain persons at the War Office have compromised the army itself by their acts, is it to insult the whole army to say so? Is it not rather to act as a good citizen to separate it from all that compromises it, to give the alarm, so that the blunders which alone have been the cause of our defeat shall not occur again, and shall not lead us to fresh disaster? I am not defending myself, moreover. I leave history to judge my act, which was a necessary one. But I affirm that the army is dishonored when gendarmes are allowed to embrace Major Esterhazy after the abominable letters written by him. I affirm that that valiant army is insulted daily by the bandits who, on the plea of defending it, sully it by their degrading championship, who trail in the mud all that France still honors as good and great. I affirm that those who dishonor that great national army are those who mingle cries of Vive l'armée with those of Abbas les Juifs and Vive Esterhazy. Grand Dieu! The people of St. Louis, of Bayard, of Condé, and of Hoche. The people which counts 100 great victories, the people of the great wars of the Republic and the Empire, the people whose power, grace, and generosity have dazzled the world, crying, Vive Esterhazy. It is a shame the stain of which our efforts on behalf of truth and justice can alone wash off. You know the legend which has grown up. Dreyfus was condemned justly and legally by 7 infallible officers, whom it is impossible even to suspect of a blunder without insulting the whole army. Dreyfus expiates in merited torments his abominable crime. And as he is a Jew, a Jewish syndicate is formed, an international sans patrie syndicate, disposing of hundreds of millions, the object of which is to save the traitor at any price, even by the most shameless intrigues. And thereupon this syndicate began to heap crime on crime, buying consciences, casting France into a disastrous agitation, resolved on selling her to the enemy, willing even to drive all Europe into a general war rather than renounce its terrible plan. It is very simple, nay childish, if not imbecile. But it is with this poisoned bread that the unclean press has been nourishing our people now for some months. And it is not surprising if we are witnessing a dangerous crisis. For when folly and lies are thus sown broadcast, you necessarily reap insanity. Gentlemen, I would not insult you by supposing that you have yourselves been duped by this nursery tale. I know you. I know who you are. You are the heart and the reason of Paris, of my great Paris, where I was born, which I love with an infinite tenderness, which I have been studying and writing of now for 40 years. And I know likewise what is now passing in your brains. For, before coming to sit here as defendant, I sat here on the bench where you are now. You represent there the average opinion. You try to illustrate prudence and justice in the mass. Soon I shall be in thought with you in the room where you deliberate, and I am convinced that your effort will be to safeguard your interests as citizens, which are, of course, the interests of the whole nation. You may make a mistake, but you will do so in the thought that while securing your own weal you are securing the weal of all. I see you at your homes at evening under the lamp. I hear you talk with your friends. I accompany you into your factories and shops. You are all workers, some tradesmen, others manufacturers, some exercising liberal professions. And your very legitimate anxiety is the deplorable state into which business has fallen. Everywhere the present crisis threatens to become a disaster. The receipts fall off. Transactions become more and more difficult. So that the idea which you have brought here, the thought which I read in your countenances, is that there has been enough of this and that it must be ended. You have not gone the length of saying, like many, what matters it that an innocent man is at the Isle du Diable? Is the interest of a single man worth this disturbing a great country? But you say, nevertheless, that the agitation which we are raising, we who hunger for truth and justice, costs too dear. And if you condemn me, gentlemen, it is that thought which will be at the bottom of your verdict. You desire tranquility for your homes, you wish for the revival of business, and you may think that by punishing me you will stop a campaign which is injurious to the interests of France. Well, gentlemen, if that is your idea, you are entirely mistaken. Do me the honor of believing that I am not defending my liberty. By punishing me you would only magnify me. Whoever suffers for truth and justice becomes august and sacred. Look at me. Have I the look of a hireling, of a liar, and a traitor? Why should I be playing a part? I have behind me neither political ambition nor sectarian passion. I am a free writer, who has given his life to labor, who tomorrow will re-enter the ranks and resume his suspended task. And how stupid are those who call me an Italian. Me, born of a French mother, brought up by grandparents in the Biche, peasants of that vigorous soil. Me, who lost my father at 7 years of age, who did not go to Italy till I was 54. And yet, I am proud that my father was from Venice, the resplendent city whose ancient glory sings in all memories. And even if I were not French, would not the 40 volumes in the French language, which I have sent by millions of copies throughout the world, suffice to make me a Frenchman? So I do not defend myself. But what a blunder would be yours if you were convinced that by striking me you would re-establish order in our unfortunate country. Do you not understand now that what the nation is dying of is the obscurity in which there is such an obstinate determination to leave it? The blunders of those in authority are being heaped upon those of others. One lie necessitates another, so that the mass is becoming formidable. A judicial blunder was committed, and then to hide it a fresh crime against good sense and equity has had daily to be committed. The condemnation of an innocent man has involved the acquittal of a guilty man, and now today you are asked in turn to condemn me because I gave utterance to my pain beholding our country embarked on this terrible course. Condemn me, then, but it will be one more fault added to the others, a fault the burden of which you will bear in history. And my condemnation, instead of restoring the peace for which you long, and which we all of us desire, will be only a fresh seed of passion and disorder. The cup, I tell you, is full. Do not make it run over. Why do you not exactly estimate the terrible crisis through which the country is passing? They say that we are the authors of the scandal, that it is lovers of truth and justice who are leading the nation astray, and urging it to riot. Really, this is a mockery. To speak only of General Gillett, was he not warned 18 months ago? Did not Colonel Pickwatt insist that he should take in hand the matter of revision, if he did not wish the storm to burst and overturn everything? Did not M. Scheurer Kestner, with tears in his eyes, beg him to think of France, and save her from such a catastrophe? No. Our desire has been to facilitate everything, to allay everything. And if the country is now in trouble, the responsibility lies with the power which, to cover the guilty, and in the furtherance of political interests, has denied everything, hoping to be strong enough to prevent the truth from being shed. It has maneuvered in behalf of darkness, and it alone is responsible for the present distraction of conscience. The Dreyfus case, gentlemen, that has now become a very small affair. It is lost and far away in view of the terrifying questions to which it has given rise. There is no longer any Dreyfus case. The question now is whether France is still the France of the rights of man, the France that gave freedom to the world, and that ought to give it justice. Are we still the most noble, the most fraternal, the most generous nation? Shall we preserve our reputation in Europe for equity and humanity? Are not all the victories that we have won called in question? Open your eyes, and understand that, to be in such confusion, The French soul must have been stirred to its depths in face of a terrible danger. A nation cannot be thus upset without imperiling its moral existence. This is an exceptionally serious hour. The safety of the nation is at stake. And when you shall have understood that, gentlemen, you will feel that but one remedy is possible: to tell the truth, to do justice. Anything that keeps back the light, anything that adds darkness to darkness, will only prolong and aggravate the crisis. The RDLE of good citizens, of those who feel it to be imperatively necessary to put an end to this matter, is to demand broad daylight. There are already many who think so. The men of literature, philosophy, and science are rising on every hand in the name of intelligence and reason. And I do not speak of the foreigner, of the shudder that has run through all Europe. Yet the foreigner is not necessarily the enemy. Let us not speak of the nations that may be our adversaries tomorrow. Great Russia, our ally, little and generous Holland, all the sympathetic peoples of the north, those lands of the French tongue, Switzerland and Belgium. Why are men's hearts so full, so overflowing with fraternal suffering? Do you dream then of a France isolated in the world? When you cross the frontier, do you wish them to forget your traditional renown for equity and humanity? Dreyfus is innocent. I swear it. I stake my life on it. My honor. At this solemn moment, in the presence of this tribunal, which is the representative of human justice, before you, gentlemen, who are the very incarnation of the country, before the whole of France, before the whole world, I swear that Dreyfus is innocent. By my 40 years of work, by the authority that this toil may have given me, I swear that Dreyfus is innocent. By the name I have made for myself, by my works which have helped for the expansion of French literature, I swear that Dreyfus is innocent. May all that melt away, may my works perish, if Dreyfus be not innocent. He is innocent. All seems against me, the two chambers, the civil authority, the most widely circulated journals, the public opinion which they have poisoned. And I have for me only the ideal, an ideal of truth and justice. But I am quite calm. I shall conquer. I was determined that my country should not remain the victim of lies and injustice. I may be condemned here. The day will come when France will thank me for having helped to save her honor.